everybody could stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, February 17th meeting of council. Do I have a motion to approve last month's meeting?
I'd like to make a motion.
David? Do I have a second?
So moved.
Peg? Show of hands? 6?
Stan not coming.
I think he's sick. So to start off today, we're gonna move ahead on this. So let's go back to the enterprise. It's under new business. And I just want to do that first this evening while they're here and set up.
So I'm Lee Davidson from the Ripley County Sheriff's Office with Reed Ludlow from Fleet Management at Enterprise. At the council's request and the commissioner's request, they're here to do a follow-up just to status of the fleet. We're just over a year into the fleet now, and we've received 13 vehicles from Enterprise. So he's got some slides he's going to go through, just kind of show the dollar amounts. Reed is 2 weeks into this job, so I'm going to be up here kind of answering questions and talking about how this has actually affected us in Ripley County and answer any questions you have. So, Reed?
Thank you. Just to clarify, I've been with Enterprise for a little over 17 years, been in the fleet division less than a year, but over the Ripley County account for just a couple weeks now. And to Lee's point, this is the financials that we showed this time last year, or almost a year ago. But fleet size of 22, projected value about $555,000. And then as you can see on the chart, you've got 3 vehicles that are over 10 years or older, 4 that are in that 2019 range, and then the rest of those being 2021 and newer.
To be clear, this was the status of the fleet when we started with them.
So when will, I can't really see the screen, when will we be replacing them older vehicles that we have,
So we've already started. They replaced 13,
right?
and we've lowered the fleet number too. He's going to get to that next.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. The next slide here is where we stand today. So we went from 22 vehicles down to 20, and the fleet value actually went up. So the total fleet value being $650,000, and all vehicles are 2021 and newer. And at the end, we'll show you what the sale went for the vehicles that were sold through Enterprise.
Okay,
So the reason that we've lowered the fleet number, overall number, is because with a newer fleet, we don't have to have as many backup cars, essentially. Before we had 2 to 3 backup cars because 150,000 miles, they were breaking down all the time. So we're able to reduce that. The typical fleet would have 2 pool cars, backup cars. Because our fleet is below 80,000 miles though, we chose to go down to 1 pool car. And then we outfitted the 2 administrative vehicles with the bare minimum to be used as law enforcement vehicles, so that in the event that we needed more than 1 pool car, we could pull one of those vehicles and use them as a backup. So we're able to overall reduce the number of vehicles we have, saving on insurance and maintenance and stuff like that.
So what is the total number of vehicles right now
20.
that's in the program?
Yep.
yeah, 20
Well,
vehicles.
20 total that the county has in possession of, 13 that are in the lease program.
13 are actually in the lease
Correct.
program. Okay.
Budget came in below budget this past year, a little over 30,000. If you look at a 5-year projection, projecting to come in about $9,000 below what we had originally anticipated.
So the reason it's 30,000 below the projected budget was because when we did the projected budget for 2025, that was replacing 13 vehicles January to December. As you know, we ordered the vehicles like towards the end of the 24, so some of those vehicles weren't actually delivered. We didn't take possession of the last 2 until somewhere around September, I believe, of last year. So we were not paying on those lease payments until the vehicle was delivered and ready to go on the road.
Upfitted and delivered. So what happens is we get them from the factory. Enterprise orders the vehicles from the factory. We pay the manufacturer. Then they go get upfitted, but you don't start paying here at the county until they're to lease point. The vehicle's in hand, delivered and upfitted. And then,
So originally, the plan was to replace all the vehicles with Durangos. That was the most cost effective. However, this year, because the sheriff's office had purchased Tahoes in the past, we did cost comparison analysis with the vehicles and determined that it was cheaper for us to get Tahoes for the two we were replacing in '26, because all of that aftermarket equipment that we put on the upfitting still fits in the new models. If we would have gone to Durangos, we'd have had to buy all new equipment for the vehicles. So in the long run, we end up saving money by buying a Tahoe versus a Durango for this particular part of the fleet. So this is the cost projections on that. Plus the Tahoes hold a lot more equity. They're worth a lot more on resale.
right.
As a matter of fact, we'll get to the slide here in a minute. The last Tahoe that we sold for $21,000 with 99.999 thousand miles on it.
Yeah. And we partner with companies, municipalities throughout the state, from acquisition all the way to resale and everything in between. This next slide is a resale and shows how we performed in this area. So when Lee and Chris met with Enterprise a couple years ago, 19 was projected that we would replace, and we'd replace those 19 vehicles and sell them for $84,000. It was a conservative number. We came in and our sales team was able to sell them for almost $95,000, and that was 13 vehicles. So there's the breakdown of each vehicle and what they all sold for.
So to add to this, part of the reason why they sold less vehicles for us than what we had projected was because we made a donation. One of the vehicles was donated to the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, which gave us credits towards sending people to the academy. So it was kind of a one-for-one thing with that. We also had sold one vehicle to South Ripley, and shortly after we sold it to South Ripley, the transmission went out on it. And to make that things right with them, so they weren't investing all that money, the county agreed to donate one of the other Chargers to them. I'll note there's a Charger there. You can see the dollar amount, $11,375 on the far right-hand side. That vehicle I would have estimated on resale through our county auction, getting no more than $500. That car was a piece of junk. And it was absolutely the worst one we had in the fleet. And they got over $11,000. In the past, when we were selling the Chargers on the county auction site, we were getting $1,000, $2,000 for them. So you can see they're definitely getting a lot more for them. And then that Tahoe, the 2021 Tahoe had 99,900 something miles on it, which we always try to sell them before 100,000 at least. I was not really expecting to get as much as we did, but almost $22,000 for that Tahoe. And the great thing about that was we were just taking that equipment and putting it into another Tahoe. So.
As I mentioned earlier, I've been with Enterprise almost 18 years. I was on a rental division. I was an area manager for 13 of those years through central Indiana, southern Indiana. So Greensburg, Columbus, I guess, would have been the closest locations here in Shelbyville. We certainly make some margins renting the cars, but we really do the best on selling the vehicles. So on the rental side, that money goes back to Enterprise. On the fleet management side, that money goes back to the company or the municipality, in this case, Ripley County. So we have about a dozen salespeople that sell our vehicles for Enterprise in the state of Indiana. They sell some to auctions, but we have over 150 dealers that we sell to. And the sales team is graded on two components: how quickly can they sell the vehicle and for the most amount of money. So this was a result for these past 13 vehicles, but that's a sales team that has been selling the vehicles and will continue to sell them.
Just to recap and make that clear, when they sell those vehicles for us, even the leased vehicles, once they go to sell those, the Enterprise keeps, I think it's $200 or $400 as an administrative fee, and the remainder of that goes back into the leasing program to drive down the lease costs. Any questions about this?
Can you email this, because we really can't see, I can't anyway.
Absolutely.
Can you email this so we could at least,
Yep, I'll email it to you after we do the meeting.
yeah, that's fine,
Yep.
if each one of us, if you don't mind.
And if there's any
Absolutely.
follow-up questions after the fact, you can email me or we can talk the next week.
Well, I haven't heard anything negative about the lease program. I was probably one of the biggest skeptics, and I've heard positive, so
I will be transparent about one thing. The estimated mileage is really difficult to estimate because we've got new guys that are out second shift. Some of those guys are putting 30,000+ miles a year on the vehicles. So some of these projections might change slightly, but they seem to, all the projections we have is they're making up for it in other places. Because we have vehicles that aren't putting anywhere near that kind of miles on it. So the administrative vehicles, those will bring a lot more in when we resell those as well. Lower mileage and less usage on those vehicles.
How often do you have to redo the upfitting?
So the goal of the lease program is to switch into new vehicles around 80,000 miles. Enterprise does their algorithms, determine that that's when the vehicle has the most equity in the vehicle for resale. So that's kind of the target goal is 80,000. However, if you have a vehicle that's causing a lot of maintenance problems earlier than that, their algorithms basically tell us, hey, you might want to look at getting rid of this one earlier, or you may extend this one. But 80,000 is kind of that target number right now because there hasn't been a significant change in the models of the vehicles. The Durangos, like when we replace a Durango, we take everything that's in it out and put it in there and replace anything that might be worn or broken or something like that. But a lot of the equipment is transferable. Same with the Tahoes. 2026, they did change the body style a little bit, but the cages that we put in them still fit in the new ones. And specifically this year, our K9 vehicle is getting into that mileage where it's high mileage. And that cage is $10,000, something like to that ballpark. But that cage is transferable into the 2026 Tahoes, which is why it made sense to keep it in that type of vehicle.
I guess that was kind of where my brain was going is what happens with all that equipment that you put in it? Do you sell the cars that way or is it taken out and then
It's all
the
taken
equipment
out.
is sold and can you recoup any money from that or not really?
Now, usually it's either too worn or the vehicles that they're specifically, all that equipment is like the consoles and the cages are specifically designed for those vehicles. They're not, if you change it into another vehicle, it's just not going to work. So a lot of times that's like the cages get scrapped. The electronic equipment, we've donated a lot of it to the Career Center when it gets beyond the point where we have usefulness out of it. But there's not a lot of recouping on the upfitting equipment in the vehicles. We use it until it's no longer usable. But a lot of that stuff, like the radios, for example, those fit in all the vehicles, but they're $8,000 a piece. So they last through multiple vehicles cycling through
Yeah,
those.
but I'm asking, after 4 years, a lot of it's obsolete already, isn't it?
Like the control systems, the cages, all that stuff is usually will last 5 to 10 years maybe. Some of the exterior lights, because of just sun fade and things like that and wear and tear, we'll have to replace some of that stuff. But the way we upfitted these vehicles was to maximize resale as well. If you go to other, like and even here, most of police cars have a full-on light bar on the top of it. You have to drill holes in the top. You have to, like, it reduces that resale value, and that gets more wear and tear. The way we've upfitted all these vehicles so far has been interior lighting that we expect will last longer as well. Like we were very detailed in how we kind of planned this to try to maximize that resale.
Good.
John?
Is that the last slide?
Yep, last one.
Okay. Yeah. I will say, just to give kind of, as far as the customer satisfaction side goes, we've been very satisfied with it. One of the hiccups that we went through during that 13 vehicles that we were receiving was that there was a title that was lost, and we had to keep that vehicle on insurance for an extra like 4 or 5 months until the whole titling thing could be done. Enterprise owned that, and they paid our insurance bill for that 4 or 5 months that we kept it on liability insurance. So I could give you probably 3 examples of where, hiccups were made, but Enterprise made it right to make sure that the customer was happy with it. So I was very satisfied with that.
So I'm assuming we're going to continue this lease.
We submitted the budget for 26 and we're still on the lease program. The projection, I think, for next year is that we won't replace any vehicles, but I would expect that to change a little bit because this year we were expecting to replace 2 vehicles. Well, when we looked across the fleet, it turned out that those had less mileage and we think they can last longer. So we put the K9 vehicle and one of the other Tahoes in there because it's getting excessive wear. So it shifts and we look at it 6 months, right around budget time when we come to you guys with the budget to show you where we think the projection is at for the following year. So those numbers are, the other big thing that I wanted to tell you is that they talked about saving money in garage motors. Last year, we gave $15,000 back to the county that we did not spend out of our garage motors account. That was off of the budgeted garage motors account. Every year prior to that, for several years, we were taking money from other places and putting in garage motors because of the excessive maintenance costs we had. So, that's all I got.
I appreciate how hard you've worked on this to do the right thing and get it right.
Thank you.
So, and getting rid of 2 vehicles, that you'll have the other 2 that, yeah, that's good.
Awesome. Thank you. for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
All right, guys, so we can go to the front page and its transfers. The first 4 are EMS, and they were just paid out of the wrong fund. So I think we can do these all together. Do I have a motion to approve this
That
transfer?
shouldn't say fund, that's my error, it should say account.
Pardon?
It should say account, not fund.
Okay, from a different account, but do I have a motion to approve these 4? Andrew and Peg?
Yes.
Okay, show of hands? 6? Okay, let's move down to the Health Department. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 transfer here that are all on grants. And then on the back page is the 5th one, and that's 751 that they're going to move from the nurse to the legal for attorney fees. So that makes 5. Do I have a motion for those 5?
No, only do these 4, they're all going into the same account.
Okay. Do I have a motion for the 4 on the front page?
I'll make a motion.
David?
I'll second.
Stephanie? Show of hands? 6? Thanks, Amy. So we go to the second page, health, and that's where it's a different account. That's where they're moving it from the nurse to general legal for attorney fees. Do I have a motion? Peg? Andrew?
I guess that's legal to just go from nurse operating supplies to there, it doesn't matter how that's transferred.
No, they have the money, so they're just transferring it from one budget to another.
Just like any other transfer.
Gotcha, yeah, I just,
Did you second it? Or was that you that I heard?
sure.
Oh, okay. I thought I did. Show of hands? 6. Additional appropriations, Health Department, this is $52,780, and this is from the HFI grant, and they want to move it to our general budget to have the county pay for what is a grant. So, Tara, do you want to explain this a little bit and explain the situation?
Sure. So this is something that the health department board, the health board is interested in. Discussed moving the salaries paid out of HFI. HFI is 2 years old, moving those to the general budget. There was also discussion on if we didn't do it in the middle of the year, whether we would do it when we come back for setting up the budgets for next year. The idea was that because HFI was only 2 years old and no salaries were on HFI over 2 years ago, to have all salaries put on the general budget.
So if I'm not mistaken, when some people were hired in on the HFI, I believe, and whenever we had someone hired on any type of a grant, if that grant went away, that position goes away. So basically what her board is asking us to do is, in case, this is my thought, I could be wrong, in case this grant goes away, they're covered under county general instead of the grant.
Is that accurate?
Yes, so HFI pays for, the HFI's goal is like those preventative kinds of healthcare. So whereas like historically, health departments did like septic inspections, food inspections, those kind of permitting processes, HFI funding was designed for those more like community outreach and engagement. There was some previous grants where operating costs for things like a maternal child health program came out of a previous grant. So it kind of became an additional duty for someone that was already paid out of general fund, but the creation of the job titles as they are now, HFI started before I'm here, but from my research, the creation of the individual job titles where this became like the primary duty and not an additional duty did start when HFI started 2 years ago, from what I could learn.
Does that make sense to everyone?
Not entirely.
So the question I guess I'm asking is if Health First Indiana were to dissolve, I don't know the likelihood of that happening. The question, what the health board is asking is that we could continue preventative services, having staff dedicated in preventative services, even if Health First Indiana did not fund those salaries.
So then I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a question for you, and this is probably something your board is going to have to answer, not you.
Okay.
If we were to take this out of general, what would they do with the $52,780 from the HFI?
Use it back into preventative services.
Is that a misappropriation of grant funds?
So we are allowed a 60-40 split with our so the county has to match. So the county has done that. They have matched funds with what comes out of HFI. We have to spend 60% on preventative health care. So that could be our maternal child program, it could be harm reduction, it could be our schools, working with schools. 40%, we cannot spend more than 40% on regulatory services, things like your septic inspections, your food inspections. So we have a max. So whether we pay it on salary or whether we pay it on expenses, as long as it fits within that 60-40 split, it doesn't matter how. I have to go back and resubmit my budget to them, but they don't care whether it's paid through salary or whether it's paid through supplies or some curriculum or resource or anything like that. So as long as it matches that 60-40 split.
So how long is the grant period that you're currently working with?
So I do want to say the word grant. They don't like the word grant. So it's our state funding, just like our general fund is our county tax dollars. HFI is our state tax dollars. So it's not really a grant, but it is. We know they budget. So it is that fund is per statute. So the statute is there. The statute exists. It could get repealed. It could not. But how much we get paid is on the state's budget cycle, and they do like a 2-year budget cycle. So they only can tell us. We only know what we have this year and what we have next year, and then we have to wait later to figure out what the next 2 years are going to look like. So
So you have 26 and 27.
correct. And our next year's budget is right now looks like what we had this year, which was like the 150-something thousand. So it was a significant cut from last year where we had like 630,000. This year and next year we are only getting from the state 153,000. So it's only enough to cover our salaries this year. So if we can save on salaries, we could in theory use that funding for operational expenses instead of salaries.
And so how are you making up for that funding difference?
So we did a rollover. So I saved last year. So the next 2 years I'm operating out of last year's savings.
Maybe I'm not fully understanding, but it seems like we're putting the horse before the cart.
Cart before the horse.
Yeah, that too.
What's the question? I guess I want to know what the question is. So you're saying wait until we're broke and then come back and ask.
Well, if it's a,
I will. Okay.
yeah, basically.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Or unless you know.
When will you find out about the 28 funding?
It's I'm hoping it might be next year when we find out. They'll kind of tell you, this is what we think, and then it changes. So like what we learned this year, we didn't learn how bad our cuts were until last fall. So it could be, it's probably not going to be this fall, it's going to be next fall. So there'll be some like rumors about what the financial forecast is looking at, but they won't drop the hammer until the last minute,
I
so.
do have one question, because I just
Yeah.
noticed that, because I was in my budget book, but the
Mm-hmm.
NCHC employee now is only budgeted for 49,641,
That sounds correct.
but you're wanting 52,780.
There's, that might have been for like the social security and benefits and all that.
You have to separate that.
Okay. I'll have to go back and look. I'm not sure where the number came from, but
I was just
yeah.
looking to see what.
I do remember, I actually remember why, because 2 meetings ago, I asked about raising the salary, and that's when I put it in, was when I was asking about raising the salary. The salary was denied, so that's
fine. I
why,
just wanted to
that's
make
where that
sure
came from.
You guys were aware of
Yeah.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah. There are 2 positions currently paid out of HFI. One is the maternal child health, and the other is our clinic assistant person, so.
Any other questions for Tara?
Is the school liaison paid out of that?
So I merged those. They were originally, when it started, 2 positions. So I merged them to a single position. So the school liaison duties are now an additional duty for the maternal child health coordinator. So that's 1 position now.
All right, do I have a motion? I'll
I'll
ask
say
it.
my part, that's how it was set up from the beginning, was that it was supposed to stay here. And I know that a couple were moved over at budget time. I think that those need to be revisited and brought back out into that HFI. That's the way it can work.
Are you talking about, the one we moved over was vital records, and we've always done vital records on the county budget. Like, that's an essential function that we have to do whether HFI exists or doesn't exist.
So, what were the other ones that were, what else is paid?
I think my position may have been on HFI at one point, and by statute, you don't have to have me, you could move me to HFI. I'm not saying I want that, I don't want that, but, I don't know that my position particularly is essential by statute, but the food inspection, the ability to do vital records, septic inspections, those, I would say those are essential job functions where by statute we have those statutory obligations to investigate and regulate those kinds of things.
Just on her behalf, I know that her board's throwing a lot of stuff at her to do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure if, honestly, they know exactly what's going on, but they're saying, go in and try it. So it looks like she doesn't know what she's doing. She knows what she's doing, but she's just giving directions that go 10 different ways.
If it does fail for lack of motion, or if it's voted down, I guess I would like to know, does that mean I would be barred from raising the issue again when we do our budget for next year? Because I don't want to keep coming before you with the same requests, so.
No, you can still,
Sure.
budget time,
Okay.
you could try and change it, and then we'll make
Okay.
that decision again.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask again, do I have a motion to move the salary from HFI to county general? No? Fails because of no motion. Okay,
Just while we're here, I have just a question, and I don't know if you know it or not. Like, you have 683,746 in that account right now, and you've spent 6,779 out of that account
Under which account?
for HFI.
There should be more than, is that a specific account number? Because I was going to say, the fund has more than that in it.
1161. Unless I'm reading it wrong.
1161 has $667,448.47 in there as of today.
Gotcha. Yeah, 67.
Do you have that there? It's on the financial report fund.
I could get it.
The balance.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that's not right, but, okay. I will be back, my rollover, was approved, so I will be back to get, my rollover, 'cause you asked how are we doing our operational expenses this year, so now that that rollover is approved, I will be back to have what I saved last year reappropriated, so look for me coming back. But they did say, one thing I did learn recently is once they deposit that money into our account, it's ours. So I did ask him, do I have to going forward, do I have to have rollovers approved to have it appropriated? They said, no, I don't have to have the rollover approved. So if I know what my rollover is going to be ahead of time, I can go ahead, anything I roll over towards next year, I can have that appropriated when I do next year's budget, which I didn't have that knowledge previously, so hopefully that will limit how many times I have to come back next year, so.
Okay, so the next line item is the Health Department again. It's $1,000 for Health Board Administrator requesting a clothing allowance of $1,000.
So the question I have, and Amy can answer this, but to create an accounting code, we're not supposed to do transfers of funds into non-existing accounting codes, right? So in theory, I could appropriate $1 and then move the money that I already have into that account. Is that,
That is correct.
so can I amend, right now, can I amend that and just say I'd like $1 appropriated into a clothing allowance? And then, just so for your background information, there's been no decision, but it will be on the next health board agenda, but it's something we had talked about in board meetings in the past. But no, it's still in discussion at the health board. They haven't made any decisions, so I have to be very clear about that. But what has been discussed is doing a supplement to the Ripley County Handbook's dress code policy for health department staff, but incorporating for my 2 field personnel that are going traipsing through the woods catching mosquitoes, or Tracy, who's in restaurants in the back staining clothes. There's been instances where their personal clothing has been ruined from work. So we were discussing internally a clothing allowance. What that looks like, that would be a health board. That's what I'm asking the health board. Is that something they'd be interested in paying out on an anniversary basis every 2 years? How much? But what I'm needing is the accounting code. We can afford it. I just don't have an accounting code created for it. Now, I know it says uniform because that's what the accounting codes that are already in existence say. It's not a uniform. We don't wear uniforms, but there wasn't a clothing allowance code. But it would be for things like shoes to go catch mosquitoes, durable trousers, things like that.
Amy, what do they call the highway garages allowance for their
Uniforms.
uniforms? Okay, thank you.
So if are we okay if it says uniforms? Does it need to say clothing allowance? I don't know.
I mean, the highway garage don't have uniforms either. They wear
Okay.
blue jeans and a t-shirt that say highway
Okay.
garage.
Okay. So I
So
can
I think
amend
what
it
they
and say
do over
$1.
I think what they do over there is they each get allotted so much money to buy jeans, shoes, and then
I don't think they buy jeans.
they don't buy shoes, I'm sorry. And then they have shirts
High
They-
vis.
with the highway logo on that they buy from somewhere.
Their shirts are all like the high vis shirts, the county garages that have the high vis stripes on them.
I did
Reflective
get Alicia a reflective shirt.
So this
for
is
her to wear,
something,
but-
what I think, like you were saying, Amy, you might want to open up an account, put $1 in it,
Okay.
come in and then say, hey, I want to transfer
So
the
can
funds
I,
from.
can I on the spot amend this appropriation request and just say $1 instead of $1,000? Is there anything preventing me from that? Okay. I request to amend my request to say $1.
I don't see a problem with it. You're going to have to work with Amy on that because she's the one that's going to
Why
open up.
are you gonna work with me? She's gonna leave it in uniforms. She's wanting
Are you-
to
if you're
change
okay.
that $1,000 to $1. I mean, if she's wanting to make a clothing allowance line item, I can make one. I really wasn't ever asked to make one.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
will make one.
I'm just explaining why it says uniform and not, that accounting code that's on there says, is titled uniform, so.
I can only do what I'm
Yeah.
asked to do.
Yeah.
I realize
So if
that.
you're,
I move, you're changing that to $1
Okay.
to approve that motion
Okay.
request of an additional appropriation.
Okay, Peg made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
David, second. Show of hands.
I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna get me a clothing allowance too.
you want to go catch mosquitoes for me?
You know?
No,
No, but I run clothes all
Stephanie,
the
were
time
you-
working here.
I say no,
Because,
I don't,
because
yeah, would you like that?
Okay, I need a show of hands again because I didn't catch it. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 3 is,
Okay. But
Is everybody else a no, or are you abstaining?
I have a question again. Now, you're talking strictly field, not
right,
office.
so
once that line item's made, she can come in and transfer whatever she wants and go and get.
so that's
As long as you
why,
guys approve it.
Right.
so, if you would like a copy of the drafted policy, I can't speak to the health board because they haven't approved it yet, but basically what I'm seeking from them, specifically says full-time, they have to be full-time staff, not part-time staff, or this is just an additional duty. They'd have to be full-time staff where their primary function is to conduct field operations. So that would be, I only have 2 people that would qualify, my food inspector and my septic inspector. It's not passed, so I can't make any kind of assurances, but that would be, it would basically be at the discretion of whatever policy the health board passes.
But in theory, based on this request that's currently in front of us, you're saying 2 people would get $500 apiece?
Well, if I only put $1 in it, nothing, it would sit there until the policy is passed. I'm not going to disperse anything until the health board signs a policy.
I understand, but is
Yeah.
that what the thought process was behind this when it was?
Like with the original $1,000, I don't remember the specific dollar amount. It might have been it could have been $300 to $500 put out on anniversary. Again, the health board could say no, they could say biannually, they could say increase it.
It's not.
I
Come to
just
the
feel-
health board meeting next
I
month.
feel if we got people going
Yeah, the health
out
department.
that
It's not
inspect
been
the
approved by the
sewage
board.
systems and this and that,
Yeah.
there's probably some clothing that they should
Yeah.
use and
They
change,
have-
and
they have-
that's my feeling.
There has
If
been
you're-
destroyed clothing.
if your health board hasn't approved it yet, we shouldn't be doing anything.
So you would prefer a policy to be in place?
Yeah, because we're going to
before-
pass something that's not
Okay.
even approved by your board.
Okay.
And that's sort of wrong.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we need to retract that motion. Do we need to retract it?
Well, they ain't passed yet.
Okay.
Is there a reason why like tie-back coveralls and a set of rubber boots wouldn't do the trick?
How fast do you go through your mud boots? Because mine only last 2 years.
Just depends on what I'm into and what I'm doing
Yeah.
with them. If I'm in the briars and the brush, or if I'm in just walking around in mud and dirt.
And you're
That
ruining
really
them on
lasts a
behalf
pretty
of
good
county
while.
business? Yeah.
What's that?
And you're wearing them on behalf of county business?
No, on the farm.
Yeah. How much did you pay for your boots?
What do my boats run about $90, $100 now, give or take.
Is there a reason this was brought forward now instead of again, at county, at budget time?
It was discussed during our January health board meeting. I think it's kind of one of those, what comes first? Should we pass a clothing allowance if it won't get funded? Should we fund it if it won't, if there's no policy? So, I mean, if we, basically, the way I drafted the policy, again, it's not approved, basically says subject to funding. So even if they pass a policy and there's no funding, then it's just unfunded policy, so.
And that was after we did the
Okay, well, it,
appropriation for the highway garage to pay for
okay.
their boots.
Well, this didn't pass, so let's go ahead and move on then.
Well, you gotta wait a minute, because I need to know what their,
I'm a no.
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 3 yes, 3 no. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, yep.
Area planning. This is $450 for reimbursement for personal cell phone. Do you want to?
Well, the building inspector uses his own phone instead of the county phone. And when Becky found out that it was time to upgrade the phone, he said, why can't you just reimburse me? Because I don't use it. She's got everything that he does. The office phone goes through his phone, so he can check his messages at home. Many times he'll pick something up on the way home or on the way in, where he doesn't have that luxury of using the county issued phone that stays here at night. So
Okay.
we just thought we'd see if we could get that done.
Any questions for Tad?
I have a question for John. I mean, does that, or maybe anybody else here, is that a precedent that's been set with other
Actually,
departments?
I get reimbursed for mine.
I believe the commissioners may do the same
Yeah.
thing.
They do.
It's okay to do that. I mean, there's.
Probation also does it.
On a monthly, we get just monthly.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
as opposed to one, I looked at one amount.
It is gonna be monthly, or however he wants to do it. Like, I'm gonna turn mine in at the end of the year, like, and do the whole year at one time instead of a claim every time.
Do I
I'll
have
make a
a,
motion on it.
Andrew made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Diane?
Does-
Show of hands?
I have a question, I guess. But
Go ahead.
I realize that some departments are already doing it. Is this going to cause a ripple effect for any other departments that would be problematic for us?
It's probably cheaper.
Okay, I was just curious.
Becky said it was. I don't know what the difference is, but she said it would save money.
Well, he probably doesn't get reimbursed for the full amount of the cost of his plan, does he?
No,
Yeah.
just for,
It's $45 a month,
yeah.
is what the county policy says.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a limitation.
Yeah.
Is that a yes? 6? Yes? Thank you.
Mr. Olson, a question for you. If you don't
You're
mind.
down to a few days, aren't you? Or a couple of weeks?
42.
42.
That's kind of why I'm here. We are going to interview in April, an executive session before our plan commission meeting. We had another one come in, so we have 4 applications. And the reason I'm here is those applications are requesting everywhere from 45, 50,000 a year, all the way to 80 or plus. And there's no reason to interview someone at 80 if 80 is not available. So I need some guidance from you as a county council. Are we going to limit that position to funds and resources that are already in the budget? And if we are, then if we call the guy that's asking for 80 and say, are you interested in doing this for 55, there's not a whole lot of reason to interview him.
We'll ask and see.
Well, we can ask. I mean, we're going to ask anyway, but
I'm sorry, what was the position again you're talking about?
The
Oh, that one.
Plan
Sorry,
director,
I
yeah.
missed that part.
And the plan commission are the one who interviews and appoints annually the plan director of the area plan commission, so.
I think in January, when we discussed this, my opinion was, and it's just my opinion, you guys have your own. I sort of got upset because it seems like everybody was putting Ted down. Oh, we're going to get somebody new and better, new and better, and new and better. And it's like, if he hasn't been good, why the hell didn't they fire him 5 years ago?
Because
Right?
it has been.
That's the way I look at it. And so the board's saying, we want new and better, And I made this statement at the board meeting. People been on the board for 35, 38 years. But if you want new and better, you need to get off the board. Let somebody new and better come in. I don't think we should pay him a penny more than Tad gets. I hope I never need anything from your board.
I mean, my recollection of that conversation was that, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were talking about hiring someone that, maybe is coming from a background that's been trained in that, and not necessarily someone coming in that's being trained kind of in the job as they grow through it. If they were talking about bringing someone in that like went to college for that or something, or with
So
an educational
when you get
background.
out of Ball State with a planning degree, your minimum salaries right now are 75 to 85,000. That's starting.
If you can get the job.
And I-
If they want to come to a community like this. So there's not a whole lot of reason to interview people that are asking for 75 or 80 or $85,000 a year if we can't pay them that.
Here's just a little example. When I got out of college, I was supposed to make $70,000 a year, have my housing paid for and all that stuff. You know what I made on my first job that I stayed at for a long time? $33,000. I still got my house and my stuff to do it, but I wasn't hireable because I didn't have the experience. I had a college degree, a piece of paper, and everybody looked at me and said, well, you don't have the experience. Here's how you get it. And I took it and went like that.
Well,
So
the worst thing is, once they gain experience in the job, will it be a revolving door with, use that experience plus a college degree and move on elsewhere to something that pays you?
Well,
and you have the ability to gain as you go, though, as well. So
I know there's a thought that they'd like to have somebody who's a planner who would be aware of all these things and stuff, but there's another thought process too, that have your code reviewed by an engineering firm like HWC perhaps every 5 to 8 years too for updates and things like that. Because it might be cheaper to pay fee for that one time than to pay. There's just different ways of thinking about all the floating ideas out there.
what do you think, Tad? You don't care, do you?
I don't care.
Well, from a plan commission, and I've been on there 32 years, so I've been doing planning and zoning a long, long time. You ask about people wanting to get rid of Tad and all that. Tad only had one faux pas in the 30-some years, or 22 years you've been, and that was multiple-family dwellings. That was this whole deal with Versailles. Well, guess what? You know how many multiple-family dwellings we've dealt with in all that time? Like, that's the only big one like that. So to not know exactly all the intricacies of the state code and all that, when he never did it, but as soon as he found out, we started the process of fixing it. And that's all we can expect from people. Would a professional planner work in Ripley County? I don't know. But not for the money, because as soon as you pay somebody like that, you all know the ripple effect. I mean, I'm just being honest with you.
No, you're right.
You got other department heads that are going to say, oh my God, if you got this much money to pay this, then you ought to pay me, you ought to pay me. And I don't think it's worth the ripple effect. I mean, and I'm not a county councilman, and most of you probably, a lot of you may not have ever seen me at a meeting, because when you send out your budget stuff, I mean exactly what you asked me to do. So it's interesting that a couple of you I've never been in front of at a county council meeting. But I think keeping the salary level the same, but it gives us the ability to talk to these applicants that are asking for a lot more and be upfront with them instead of, dragging them in and then, I don't want to have to come back and say, well, they said they'd do it for 72. Well, if you tell me that Tad's salary level is what our level of offer is, then I, as a plan commission member and the plan commission that's hiring this and appointing them, have the ability to then recommend to the commissioners a salary level that they're willing to take to do the job. Instead of having them go through all that and then say, well, you just didn't come up with enough money.
and then there's one other thing. At budget time, we'll be doing raises. I don't know how much it'll be, but whoever replaces him, they were only here for, let's just say 6 months. They're still going to be involved with whatever the raise amount is. I don't know how much it's going to be at this time, but so.
The last part of that, and I don't have an amount, But we want, if we can get this person hired, we want them to work under Tad for 4 to 5 weeks to figure out the office, to figure out what, building permits are, what inspections are and all
I
that.
agree with that.
But we don't have in the budget that, what would it be? Somewhere between $5,000 and $6,000 for the training. Would you guys have the ability for us to tell that person their start date's going to be here so they could train under our plan director now, because we have to have money to be able to pay that training?
Personally, I would say yes.
I have a question. So has the direction of your board changed, or is there not a cohesive thought process behind the board? Because this is different than the conversation that I remembered the last time.
Well, some of the conversation that I heard went on is we were all a bunch of country bumpkins that didn't know our butts from a hole in the ground when it came to planning and zoning. I have been on the land use planning team and been to Ball State and Purdue University and the state APA group doing trainings for over 30 years. So I have a pretty good background, not only from training, but from doing it for that long. I think there's a move on the board to kind of want to control things, if you're asking me to be honest with you and to shoot you straight. And that person kind of wanted to take control of the solar ordinance, and he went to the radio and he talked outside of school, which he shouldn't have been doing from a plan commission member. And the way he referenced him and other plan commission members at the last meeting with you in January, I thought was disgraceful.
I agree. I agree 100%.
And I think there are other plan commission members that did not take that very well. But I don't think as a plan commission, well, I'll be honest with you, that person, well, you know who it is a county surveyor. He only listens to one out of every 30 applications we have because he's a surveyor on all the rest and has to recuse himself. So he's not really making much planning and zoning decisions when it comes down to the monthly meetings. I mean, he's absent more than he's present, so.
I can't speak for what was in, any one person's head, but I will say for myself, being on the receiving end of that presentation, I didn't necessarily interpret it in the same way that you did. It's not to say that you're wrong and I'm right. I'm just saying that I had a different impression.
I think at our monthly meetings, I think we do a good job of doing the business of Ripley County, which is looking at subdivision control and rezones. And that's our two roles as a plan commission member. And the BZA listens to variances and special exceptions and things like that. And I think both boards do a pretty good job.
Dave, you may want to share by state statute your responsibility and also the surveyor.
Yeah, the state statute is that in an area plan commission, the area plan commission's in charge of appointing the area plan director. And it actually says, and setting compensation. But that statute never went to the point of saying, oh yeah, you tell the county council how much you're going to spend. That's not. But it does say, setting, so that's why I'm here. Because with this new position, we're going to set that compensation, and I don't want to do something that's against what county council, because you're the fiscal agent of the county, what you're willing to do.
He's not asking us to make a motion or anything. He's asking us what our thoughts are. So I'm going to just go through each person. I'm going to start with myself. My thoughts are they start at what Tad's making.
Okay.
Peg?
I agree, and then also we have, maybe shouldn't say a stipend, but for that intern of a month that we assure you that we'll pay for that turnover of sharing knowledge and also job responsibilities and how the office is run.
David?
I agree we should start where Tad's at right now, but I'm not opposed to having an emergency meeting if we have to discuss it further.
Okay.
I agree with what David is saying. I didn't interpret, like I said, the last meeting in the same way that you all have, and no disrespect to you at all or the job that you've done whatsoever, but I think a starting salary could be where he is now, and I'm open to having discussions about a higher salary if needed later, because I am concerned about some of the things that were brought up at the last meeting about, there are some new things that are coming about that maybe weren't here when you started in that position years ago with, the battery, the solar, like all those types of things. And I think that could become a really sticky issue that maybe somebody, that educational background coming with that knowledge, I think could be helpful.
Andrew?
I still am gonna stick with mine, like how we did from the last time. You have your qualifications, you can go through your people and see what it is, and I'd be more than happy if we kept it at pads, or I'd be happier if somebody came in less. But look at the qualifications of the applicants, and then that's kind of you guys to make it. But if it came in at TADS, that'd be great, but I know when we talked at the last meeting, we were saying that look at the qualifications per the exact reasons that you stated, data centers, solar, all the other stuff that could possibly come forth, water, all the other things that have to go involved with that. I don't know personally how that works. I was supposed to go to that AI Learn data center thing in Lawrenceburg last week, and I couldn't make it, but on what all goes into that, I have no clue as far as zoning, any of planning, how any of that stuff works.
Well, I hate to tell you this, but I think in another year or so, the state of Indiana is going to tell us how that works. They're not going to ask us.
Diane?
I agree with, I
They
think it
almost
should,
did it this legislative session, but they didn't have enough time, so.
I agree that the starting salary should be as TAD is, and I
That
agree
gives us
with this.
direction, and that's what I came to ask. And I appreciate the training funds, because that allows us to have the start date as soon as they could start.
Thanks for sticking up for your, Ted.
Hey, anybody that's working.
I hear the
knew
batteries
It
and the
didn't matter
solars.
who you were, you treated everybody exactly the way the thing's gonna be. And I've been working with him on the plan commission a lot of years.
And I hear the batteries and the solar and probably the windmills. and
I know that's the
all
new
that stuff,
thing.
but that's stuff that he can learn.
Yeah, and people think that's big. Folks, that doesn't hold a candle to confined feeding animal operations. Let me just tell you that we dealt with those for many years, and those were much more contentious than this stuff. All we've got to do as a community is be ready when the application comes to how we're going to deal with it and what standards we're going to put in place.
Well, and if you're not aware, the commissioners already have asked TAD to solicit quotes, bids from like law firm, engineering company, HWC, to basically prepare those types of workers, because there's a lot of stuff that the average person probably doesn't know about those things. The
Thank you for
detail.
your time, and thanks for your input. and
Thank you.
We'll let you know how
Thank
the
you,
interviews
Ted.
go.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to go down to EMS. This is, county has a contract with Sunman and Batesville for their EMS. So this is $58,000 to be appropriated to
What
them.
happened, this is for the bid last year. So what happened is Scott didn't tell Alex. I thought Alex did it, and Alex thought I did it.
Oh. So this is for
I'm just
2000,
being
oh, it is
like-
2025s.
Yeah,
So we're behind to get them their money.
yeah.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Andrew? Peg, you second? Peg? Show of hands? 6?
Perfect example of an honest mistake that's getting fixed.
Okay. Court services, they have a bunch of grant funds.
Not all this.
Grant-
I get it.
All of court services are grant funds. Shannon, if you want to talk about it, you can.
It won't take a second. It's grant funds to repay grant funds that we owed after December 31st at the close of the year. So the auditor is very gracious with us because she knows the money's there and it's just to repay so there's no one going in the red. From the same grant, Indiana Criminal Justice Institute is the grant funder.
Yeah, there's, look, what is there, 3 of them? 1, 2?
They have to be done separately because they go into different funds.
Okay. Okay, so let's do the first one. It is, it's $200 to Indiana juvenile behavior. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Diane? Second?
Andrew?
Andrew? Show of hands? 6. And then $504.91. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
David?
Second.
Stephanie? Show of hands? 6. $3,570, same thing. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Andrew?
Second.
Stephanie? Show of hands? 6. Thanks, Shannon.
Thank you very much. If you have any,
Sorry to make you wait so
I sent that
long.
to you guys. You should get that, this is what
Yeah.
you get every year. If you ever have any questions, I'm always first floor of the courthouse, let me know.
Did you get your van yet?
No. I got an email from the salesman last week, said, just so you know, I'm not blowing you smoke, here's the order, and they're still putting it together. But he keeps encouraging me, he's trying to sell me a Ford, and I don't want a Ford, I want this one, but it's still being put together.
I know I've got the transits, and they have been absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
We've got, the one's got 130
Yep.
some on it,
Well,
and the other one's got 60.
We
So
have a
far,
Ford-
it's not so far, not the
Yep.
first, nothing. We put brakes on it over 100,000, and they still wasn't
Yeah.
more out.
We got a Ford Transit, we just wanted something to make sure we can haul around a bunch of people and have enough horsepower to pull a trailer.
They've done,
All right.
they've done very well.
Thank you. Let's move on. Park Board. Park,
Oh, Lee,
Are you still going to be addressing the CARES thing tonight?
I'm sorry?
The CARES ladies, I saw they left, did you?
I didn't hear what he said.
CARES, the Ripley CARES group.
Oh, yeah, they're on the very, they're,
Okay, I saw they left, I didn't know.
oh, okay. Park Board is $3,500. They got from the Ripley County Community Foundation, they got a grant to do some electrical work. Do I have a motion?
now, they received $50,000 from the Reynolds Foundation.
Well,
is that correct?
this is completely different, but yeah.
This is for the animal barns.
Oh, okay,
This
was
is to
that for?
upgrade some electric for the animal
Yeah, it's
barn.
electrical.
50,000 was for campers, for
Yes,
camping.
yeah.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
One motion.
Diane?
They were dying, okay.
Was Stephanie?
Either one. We spoke at the same time.
So
Show of
Diane and
hands.
Stephanie,
Diane
Yeah.
and Stephanie?
Yep.
6. Kayla with 911. Kyla?
So I wasn't sure where to start, but I at least just wanted to bring this up now. I would like to explore the option of us getting some part-time people into the dispatch center. First and foremost, I have one person on maternity leave, soon to be a second, so we're about to be short. But just overall, and covering people's time off and things like that, I need additional help to do that so I don't burn my people out. It opens the door for liability, putting people on for longer than 12 hours, honestly past 14, especially coming from a night shift standpoint and sending them home. I have dealt with that personally myself, and I don't want that for my current staff. So I would like to minimally do 2 part-time, but from a PRN standpoint.
Okay. What is your pay rate that you're thinking?
Pay rate that I'm thinking, and this is, again, I'm new to asking for things, so, pay rate that I'm thinking, I did talk to Batesville, because Batesville does have part-time dispatchers. They have theirs set at 25, I was thinking 24 for us, which is an in-between from the day shift and the night shift salary currently.
What do you pay for the full-times?
Full-time, night shift, has a shift differential. It depends also on their training as well, which I set that standard at the beginning of the year, which I can bring copies of that as well. But I was kind of just given that when I got to this position, and it was not laid out, so it's based on how long you have been dispatching on top of trainings to go up through each telecommunicator tier. Backing up, from that. Currently, day shift makes $22.50 and night shift makes $23.50 with a differential.
But you want to pay a part-time 24?
Because, and the only reason being, it's that in between those two, they're doing the same type of job, but they don't have the opportunity for overtime. And the people and persons that I have in mind already have significant dispatching experience. They just do not want to be full-time.
Let me ask you this, one more question. Are your full-time people going to say, hey, I just want part-time because I can make more money?
I don't think so. The only reason being is because there would be a cap of how many hours they would be able to work, which would not match what their full-time check would be, so.
I presume the part-timers, the PRNs are as your needs are.
Yeah, it's
No
not.
benefits.
Yeah, no benefits, no. It's genuinely just, like, right now, I have moved our schedule around enough to where there is only consistently, without somebody being on leave, 4 hours of overtime on the weekends. But I expect that to grow because I'm going to lose another person for a significant amount of time. And just having that ability to prepare for after the fact would be nice. My other thought process with that would be just have one part-time fund and a maximum amount of hours that they would be able to work a week. So that way, from a PRN position, if one person can work Monday, Tuesday for the hours that are needed to be covered, but then the second person can work Thursday, Friday for whatever hours need to be covered, it can just come from one fund. It's not like paying two separate salaries, if that makes sense.
All your money's locked in one.
Right.
Any other questions, council?
But a part-time person cannot work more than 28 hours.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Are you asking for a decision tonight?
It would be nice.
Okay. That's fine. No, that's fine. That's fine.
I am new to this entire process as well.
Right.
So
Right.
You have to do a
To that,
salary
I don't have
order.
a salary ordinance.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't have one made. I guess I could probably pull it up if you guys, but you're gonna have to make an hourly rate for it.
Yeah, I mean, in order to really do it, next month would be better. That gives her time to get a salary ordinance.
Okay.
And then we can
Little
figure
time to
out,
think.
pardon?
A little time to think on it.
Yeah, because
No, but I don't wanna do all this paperwork if you guys aren't gonna approve it.
Right.
I think that,
Just saying.
Now, I don't want to go into an FMLA, but a person, you had someone on maternity leave, and you're going to have someone fairly soon on maternity leave?
Yes, fairly soon. Their maternity leaves will overlap. And I mean, FMLA is 12 weeks, so that is a little over, or just under actually with them overlapping. I mean, 24 weeks of me being down at least one person, but at least 6 to 8 of me being down two.
And then
When's
6
that
months.
timeframe that you anticipate that? to
The
be?
window of that happening is next month.
I watched the commissioners'
Yeah.
meeting this morning,
Yeah.
and she's putting in way too many hours.
Yeah, I'm just going to be completely honest, not that I mind, because I have a dispatching background, that's why I'm in this job, I love doing it, but I am helping with coverage myself. Given that I am a salary employee, I don't get paid for my overtime, and I'm only getting comp time that I can barely use to begin with. So I would like to be able to have a backup to help cover people's time off. My supervisors are already actively working the schedule because I'm down my maternity leave person also, and I have hired someone new full-time, but they have to train. To add to this as well, in the future, I think it is very imperative that our dispatch center get more training. And part of that is going to require me to ask part-time people to cover some of these full-time hours to be able to send them. So,
I'm not trying to penny pinch here, but I hate the idea of paying a part-time person more than a full-time person.
I mean, I'm fine to do a different rate, that's fine. My concern,
What do you think? You said you have
What
two.
EMS does? EMS pays their part-time people the same as they pay their full-time.
which that's fine with me as well.
Can you get somebody who's trained to work that
I can
part-time basis
comfortably get somebody, like, when I did this last, honestly, when I did this last set of hiring, the new pay rates that you guys gave, very gracious, because it very much opened the door for a better hiring pool this time around. To add to that, part of the pool was like, oh, hey, do you have a part-time position? And I said, no, I don't, but I'm going to be asking for one. At least 2 people in that pool alone were interested in part-time, have significant amount of dispatching experience. They just decided to stop for familial reasons, which is fine, but they want to get back into it, want to do it. I would love to have them. So
What about if we go 1 right now?
1 right now would help me some, but not enough for what I'm thinking if we're going to be down
You're
for.
down 80 hours a week with 2 people being out at the same time.
Right.
Yeah, because she's
And
in a bad spot.
and also from a liability standpoint, just from the center, like I know I keep bringing that up, but I've learned quite a lot from my recent training. I think it is very irresponsible and it opens the door to liability if I don't have 2 people on the floor at a time. It has happened before where there has been 1 person. It makes me physically sick to think that because things can happen. We're not necessarily paid to be busy, we're paid to be the best when it is busy. And if there's only 1 person there when it's busy, I don't like what the potential outcome is. I mean, we have Batesville to fall on, but they also only employ 1 person at a time typically as well.
So correct me if I'm wrong, one of the things is, if I understood the commissioners' meeting this morning, she can look ahead and see when she's going to need to work these people.
Yes.
It's not like she's going to schedule both of them to work every week.
Nope.
It's going to be by a schedule.
So our.
Am I correct?
Yes,
You
so
wanna
our
explain
schedule
that?
for the dispatching center currently, and our standards are time off has to be scheduled minimally a month in advance. We do a time off calendar a year in advance that I put in last year, obviously, because I just started. Part-time people would be helped to use for those kind of last-minute call-ins if somebody is sick, and that extreme advancement of time off. And then maternity
If I'm
leave
not
when I know
mistaken,
about
this
it.
can be- I'm asking, this can be paid from the safety tax?
Yeah, I mean, like, she has money in her state 911 funding, be- because all of her telecommunicators get paid out of 2 line items. One is in the statewide 911, and one is in the lit. I mean, they can get paid out of either one.
Which that part I
Now,
was.
my opinion on this is, and you know what my opinion is, it's like everybody else's, everybody got one. But I would not do an additional appropriation, I would do it as a salary ordinance.
Okay.
I mean, you could go ahead and give her approval to do it, and we can backdate it for the next meeting to the date that they start.
Okay,
I would pay out of the same line item
okay.
until it gets short and then do an appropriation, if need be.
Okay.
I mean,
That's a good idea.
So let's go with what Amy's saying there, because she knows this way better than any of us.
Right.
you guys better start learning it, because I only got 290 days left.
How many hours?
I think the concern about what you're saying is to pay somebody more, even though they're not receiving benefits, probably creates a ripple effect.
That's what I'm
But
thinking.
if you can get quality people in there, you need, Kyla,
I-
and you can average between night shift and day shift as far as salary, because if they're swing shift people, essentially, as need,
Right.
some days are gonna work days, some days are gonna work nights.
Right. And that's going to be the stipulation is they're not going to be expected to only work day shift. They're going to have the expectation to also potentially work night shift. And then another thing that I would like to bring for my other center is they have to be available at least for, if I had 2 people, 16 hours a month, which would be 2 8-hour shifts per person. I think that's doable. But they don't have to necessarily work that, they just have to be available for it.
So my opinion is I'm good with what the full-time people are making an hour for 2 part-time.
Okay?
And like Amy suggested, to,
So is that a motion? Or we're
well,
just,
do we
have to
if
have
she
a
doesn't have a-
motion for the ordinance, Amy, or can we go ahead and?
she has to have the ordinance
You
first.
can do a motion for 2 part-time 911 employees being paid the same as full-time employees.
So I move.
Then we wouldn't even have to have a new salary ordinance, because the salary ordinance already has the hourly pay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Peg moves, do I have a second?
Second.
Diane seconds, show of hands. 6.
Thank you guys so much.
No, thank you,
We
thank you,
appreciate
thank
you,
you.
and
Absolutely.
that
Thank
this
you.
is for the
you.
Yes.
well-being of your
Yeah.
staff. So,
Perfect, thank you guys so much.
well, you know, you have a lot of
That's
situations.
very, very important. I mean,
Not situations, but
if she knows somebody's going on vacation, she's got somebody who's, she doesn't have to cover it
I
herself.
understand it now, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Okay. It ain't like they're guaranteed they're gonna work something out.
oh, no,
Okay, old business, dog warden.
Stephanie, David, you want to share?
I don't know really what to share. I didn't, I mean, as far as what we went over today, we went over a lot of same stuff we went over, I feel.
And you've gone and visited
I did.
Batesville's facility,
Right.
and Stephanie did too.
And we did visit Batesville and really definitely seen how they got it put together, which I think is pretty cool. That it can be an officer, it can be whoever finds the pet can just take it, put the information on the door, and then they give it 5 days to find the owner. And another thing I did learn too, some of the animals they kind of have to actually quite a few of them are frequent visitors, you know. And some of these, you know, they find them, oh yeah, this is the dog 2 houses down, and they pick them up and they take them there, you know. So,
Okay.
I'm of the same general opinion that I was however many months ago. Like, I feel like we kind of have 2 different groups going on. That's just my opinion. I think that there's a group of people, the Ripley Cares group. They're very passionate. They're very energetic. They really want, you know, something to be done in Ripley County. But I feel like when we have our large group of people together, that we spend a lot of time talking about the problems that exist or that have existed in the past or that currently exist now, and we are not getting to the meat and potatoes of what, you know, we as Ripley County government feel like we can or should do or are able to do as far as working out the logistics of, there's, I said it at the end of the meeting, and I shared this with some of the folks that were still in there, some of them had left, is I think that we need to prioritize, you know, there's people that are saying we need an animal control officer, and then there's other people saying well, we need a place to put them, because if you have an animal control officer, then where's the animals gonna go? And then there's people saying that we should work on the ordinances, and so it's there has to be some direction on what issue is being focused on first and next and after that, because right now it just, we're not, in my opinion, we're not gaining the ground that we need.
So I was asked to be here just to address some of the concerns that CARES has had with the sheriff's office over the past couple of weeks. And I've spoken to some of you individually about it. We have conducted some investigations into what some alleged animal abuse and neglect on several cases, actually. The most recent one, I personally have invested more than 40 hours worth of work investigating that particular case, and I've had state experts from the State Board of Animal Health go with me to these investigations, and I can't speak to details of them because it's still ongoing. However, it is a significant amount of resource that's being used from the law enforcement side that if there was something in place for animal control, they could do these initial investigations and stuff like that. I'm not saying that this level of investigation is required all the time, but this particular one did take a significant amount of resources. The sheriff, and I'm speaking on behalf of the sheriff and myself, we have mentioned this in the past. If the council and the commissioners decide to move forward with some sort of animal control thing and fund it, the sheriff's office would be willing to help start that up, to get that started. It's typically something that would be under the commissioners, but understanding that you guys are not full-time, this is something that would impact the sheriff's office. It would take a lot of these animal complaints off of our table because we take the brunt end of almost all of them at this time. So that offer still stands if that's something that is decided. But again, it's going to require funding because we're, right now, our capability is to investigate criminal allegations with these dogs. And that's a very high threshold when it comes to dogs. There's no ordinances in place. And I'm not suggesting that ordinances be in place, but if if that's what the collective governing body wants to do, then we would be willing to assist with that if it would help, at least for the next few years. That animal control is something that inherently belongs to the commissioners, not law enforcement. And to be clear, I've been asked this many times, an animal control officer does not have to be a sworn officer. Does not have to be. And as a matter of fact, I'm not aware of any in this area that are. Most of them are given special deputy authority through the sheriff, but even that is not necessary. It can be a civilian position that investigates these things, and with the authority of the commissioners and the governing body, does citations, the same as TAD does. You know, TAD has the ability to do ordinance violations. That position would be very similar to that. So the offer stands that we would assist with it if it's funded, but my ability with CARES is very limited because of our focus is the criminal investigations. We have 29,000 plus people in this county that we serve. I love dogs, I love animals, I've got too many of them at home, but my focus needs to be on the people in this county.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for staying.
Absolutely.
I was asked to reach out to the Humane Society if possibly we could lease some pens or something with them. I reached out to them, and they're pretty much at full capacity. They try to work some of our animals that are picked up into their slots. Oftentimes, the animals that we're picking up may have been hit by a car or been in some accident, and also maybe breeds that's harder to get to have an adoption occur. Also put out, what about if we had, quote, a portable unit or something on their facility? And they want to work with us, but thought that would be very difficult for the simple reason we would be paying individuals at a certain amount, our part-time people, and then they have staff and they would maybe be working for less, and thought that would bring up a lot of animosity that we're doing the same thing, but you're getting paid this and we're getting paid this. So I didn't come back with, yes, bring your unit to our facility, because we're kind of all doing the same thing. It just doesn't seem like that that isn't an option for us at this time.
One of the agreements that we have with the Humane Society is, we're going to give you so much money, you take our dogs. That's one of the agreements that we have with them. That's why we give them that money every year. You know, that kept us from, Eddie Armbrecht taught me this years ago, take care of the Humane Society. This is what the agreements have always been. We'll give you money, you take care of our dogs. We don't have to give them money at budget, but we do. We have a dog warden. He gets calls for, hey, my dog's really old. Can you come and get it? Because they don't want to put their own dog down. That's not his job. You know, that's my thoughts. As far as renting something from the Humane Society, I would be absolutely not.
They don't have any room.
Well, even if they did, because we help fund that. One of the things I want to do this now, and it's not going to be popular, we as council have absolutely nothing to do with this dog thing. We have a committee that's trying to work on this. We can't make a decision. We can't say, let's buy dog pens. We can't make a decision, let's rent. That has to come to us from the commissioners. So I'm going to end this board. If you guys want to continue on it, you can continue on it, but it's not a county committee. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because we have no say-so. It's got to come from the commissioners. So if you want to continue on your own, that's fine, but it's not going to be a county involved.
But meeting, we could give the commissioners the findings that we find as we go and we look at options and things, and
Well, and like I
give it to
say,
the commissioners.
if you want to stay involved on your own, you can. because the commissioners could be doing what you guys are doing. I don't know what's really going on, and I
Yeah, we
don't,
have
Roger
a
does, I believe, doesn't he? But, yeah, but like I say, yeah, if you guys want to stay involved, that's up to you guys, but you don't have to. I don't want the county to be liable for anything since it's our board making a decision or talking about it, so, okay? 2027 salary, and I think, did you want to wait on that until Stan's here?
Diane and I and Stan, and we have met with every department and had good conversation. Stan is unable to be with us this evening, and would also like to ask the president if he would, next month, before our April meeting, have a joint meeting at 5 PM with the commissioners and with the council, a special meeting, if we could advertise it, it's more than 2 weeks, and have an open discussion of, from the commissioners' perspective, of things they may see for 27, and from our findings of meeting with different staff members for 27. So I found it to be very enriching and think it is something that should continue. Diane maybe will share too.
Oh, I fully agree. I think we kind of deviated from what we thought we were going to do to begin with, but it was a good thing. We met with every single department head in the county and got the feedback from them, and it was enlightening because they can talk. It's in a small room, there's 3 people to talk to instead of 7 people sitting in judgment, so it feels like when you're standing out there. But it's something that I think council would benefit by continuing this after this year.
I didn't bring my calendar with me.
What is our next meeting date?
April 20th.
April 20th.
April 20th?
So you're requesting a special meeting for Monday?
Yeah,
April
Monday,
20th?
April 20th. Will
With
everyone be able to make it at 5 o'clock instead of 6 for a special meeting
With
about the
commissioners.
salary and the commissioners?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, let me put it this way. I'd like to have a special meeting to meet with all 3 commissioners at 5 o'clock at our next council meeting, before the council meeting. And then
An
that,
hour long enough? Are you giving information to us or back and forth, or are we just giving you information? Go back. and
It's a
forth.
discussion.
I think we're going to let Peg, Diane, and Stan discuss what they've discovered. And then if we have questions, we can write them down. Depends on how long it takes to ask. And then we can write them down, and then we can email just the 3 and let them do the follow-up. Does that sound fair?
Oh, we want to, before our meeting, you want us to come up with questions to email to the commissioners?
Well, no, during our meeting, they might have questions, we might have questions.
Okay.
But, yeah, and we might not have time to answer all the questions, but we want to
But
come.
we'll try.
Yeah.
Correct? Okay.
And then, after our meeting on Monday, we will come to a conclusion where you're at, because I don't want to get caught at budget time saying, hey, we don't have anything figured out. So that's why I put it onto this meeting, so, make sense?
Makes sense, yeah.
Everybody okay with that? Does anybody from the audience have any questions? No? Committee reports, economic development, Andrew?
We haven't had a meeting, so status quo.
Okay, Diane, SEI,
Again, an executive meeting, so there's nothing.
nothing? Okay, solid waste, David?
We had a meeting and they're doing just fine.
Okay, and then Stan's not here. I want to bring this up real quick, and then we need to get out of here. 911, she was talking this morning that she would like to have an advisory board of some sort. So I think here in the next month, we'll probably have a little discussion with some of the commissioners and with Kayla, I keep saying it wrong. Kyla, okay, I'm sorry, about that. She did bring that up this morning. So let's go ahead and sign everything, and then we can move forward.
I do have one question for my fellow council members. I mentioned this, I think, the last time when we were doing budget stuff, just as an idea, but then someone else kind of brought it up to me and reminded me of it. When it comes to budget time, specifically with looking at the nonprofits, I feel like the information that we get varies quite a bit from the different groups. And so I was wondering about, and I'd be willing to try it, I guess, or work with somebody else on it, but to try to create like a form or something that they maybe all can fill out so that we can easily look at these, maybe like one sheets of paper or something, and compare apples to apples instead of like apples to oranges.
That makes sense what you're saying, instead of having 20 pieces of paper.
Well, some of it, yeah.
This is,
Right.
yeah.
Well, I think we asked for their financial report from the previous year, and it's in the letter, and ask them to submit certain things, and one of them being their financial sheets and the mission, how many people they target. No, I shouldn't say target, serve.
Any other questions?
I'll be willing to do whatever.
I'll see if I can, how about this, I'll see if I can work up like a little draft of a form and give that to everybody to look at and see what you think.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if you need to look at it, add to it, I would be more than happy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Move to adjourn,
I'm waiting for Diane to finish.
just almost right there.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Peg, second?
Second.
Diane, show of hands. 6. Amy, thanks for your help and your advice again. I appreciate it.